I still brushed it off as maybe just her personality and left it at that. At the lake, though, a number of events occurred that kind of unsettled me. On the day we arrived, my husband's sister had invited a number of her own friends from college over, and the group of us spent some time together in the water. At one point, we all decided to have a big chicken fight, and at first, it was quite fun and lighthearted. Then a bunch of people, including my husband, broke away to do their own thing, and his sister turned to me and said, "Let's do another round," with her other two friends left in the lake, and asked to get on my shoulders. I said sure, knelt down under the water to let her up, but instead of getting on my shoulders properly, she got on top of my head and wouldn't budge at all when I tried to move her. I couldn't get her off me or even get my head up to breathe for what felt like a long while. My head was being squeezed between her thighs, and I was seriously panicking by the time I managed to dislodge her and bring my head up to the surface. What's weird about it was that the other two weren't even paying attention to any of this or even participating in the attempted chicken fight at all. My husband's sister didn't say anything to me when I came up to the surface. She just kind of gave me this weird snort chuckle and got out of the water. I was noticeably shaken and trying to catch my breath, but I assumed maybe this was just some sort of accident, so I tried to act fine and didn't say anything. My husband's parents have a Sea-Doo that they let those of us with a boating license use. I don't have a boating license, so it was mostly just me riding behind my husband with him at the wheel. My husband's sister offered me a ride, though, and I didn't want to say no, thinking maybe this was a chance to bond with her, so I agreed to it. I told her the Sea-Doo still made me quite nervous, though, and to take it easy if she could. She definitely did not take it easy. She took any and every opportunity she could to jump the Sea-Doo off the wakes of boats that passed us by, was doing sharp turns at high speeds like crazy, and I found myself having to cling to her for dear life throughout the ride. There were points where we both nearly fell off the Sea-Doo with how wildly she was driving it. Again, though, I didn't say anything about it and acted fine because I thought maybe she didn't realize how fast and crazy she was going. Later, my husband's dad yelled at her for attempting to splash my husband with the Sea-Doo while he was in the water. Their dad told her it was dangerous to try and ride close to people in the water like that because she could have run him over. After about an hour or so, it was just me in the water with my husband's sister on the Sea-Doo, and she drove that thing within a couple of feet of me just to turn it and splash me with the water, way closer than she ever got to my husband when she'd do it to him. I laughed it off but again was inwardly freaked out. That brings us to yesterday at dinner. As everyone in the family has been made acutely aware of by my husband, I have a serious dairy allergy, to the point where ingesting even a little bit of it can risk causing anaphylaxis. My husband's sister contributed a big pot of tomato rice and told me there was no dairy in it. I trusted her and helped myself to a portion of it, but shortly after eating it, I had to excuse myself because I started to feel extremely ill and wound up spending the rest of my night puking my brains out. I felt super faint, and it took a lot of effort to breathe. Thankfully, I had my EpiPen if things got bad enough, but still, the entire experience was just awful. The explanation I got later was that my husband's sister finished the tomato rice with butter to make it creamier and then forgot she put it in there before serving it to me. Seems again like it could be an innocent mistake, but given the combination of everything that happened this weekend, I'm starting to feel suspicious that it's more than just that at this point. I don't know if I'm overreacting or just being a paranoid mess because this is a huge accusation, but I can't help but feel that niggling suspicion that maybe my husband's sister genuinely meant me harm. I feel like I'm freaking crazy. Update 1. So, I did end up talking to my husband about his sister's behaviors toward me last weekend. I was planning on sitting him down and just point-blank raising my concerns about her, but her name came up organically in conversation, so I ended up using it as a springboard for telling him about last weekend's incidents. As I went through each sketchy incident I had with her, my husband believed me, was angry on my behalf about what happened. He also supports my wishes to keep more of a distance from her going forward. He told me to let him know if she ever pulls anything like the incidents in the water again. The dairy thing he still believes to be a genuine accident. Apparently, she was in tears over how badly she felt about that. Apparently, my sister-in-law's behaviors last weekend weren't 100% out of character for her. After telling my husband about my incidents with her, he explained to me that she's had a history of crossing lines and testing the limits of people's boundaries like this, albeit never this egregiously. Until college, she struggled with making and keeping friends due to constantly crossing peers' boundaries. My husband even had to come to her aid in grade school due to her starting beef with the wrong people who were ready to beat her face in. He thought she'd gotten much better in recent years, which is why he was so taken aback when I told him about the stuff she did last weekend. Apparently, she's been in therapy for a very long time now to treat some mental health and behavioral issues. My husband was and is pissed at her for what she did to me, but he genuinely doesn't think her intentions were to unalive or maim me, just to test my limits and haze me, albeit extremely recklessly. I'm inclined to agree with him, but my guard is still up in case it's anything more than that. His theory is that because I'm quite shy, she figured I was less likely to put my foot down with her, and that's why she did stuff to mess with me in particular. So going forward, I'm going to try to keep any interaction I have with her at future family events and stuff brief. I'll still be polite, of course, but there's no way I'm going to be alone with her anymore, and my husband says he's on board with this arrangement and will intervene if necessary to make sure it stays. It sucks to realize I'm probably never going to have a good relationship with my sister-in-law like I'd hoped. I've never had siblings before, so I was excited by the idea of having someone accept me as a sister and having that sort of relationship. Oh well, I guess not, haha.